Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. In Louisiana, the time is right for blackberry picking. Learn more about this fruit and how it made its way to the southern part of the U.S. Nestled near a forest in Romania, you'll discover remnants from a prehistoric volcanic eruption. This hill is known for zeolite, a mineral that can detox heavy metals, bacteria, and other toxins. Your energy, positive or negative, is impacting everyone around you. Learn more about the impact it can have on your children. Thousands of people in Taiwan are protesting. They say their lawmakers are trying to pass reforms that threaten democracy. New laws in the Northern Territory of Australia could result in more mandatory curfews for the public. Is this one more way the government is trying to control the people?
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Today we visit Cotton Port in the USA, where the blackberries are in full season. UNN Field Messenger Mike shares the history of these delicious berries in his community.
Hello, Field Messenger Mike Lopez reporting for United Network News. I'm here in Cotton Port, Louisiana, where the sun is coming up. It's going to be a beautiful day, and I just discovered that the wild blackberries are ready to harvest. Let's go pick some wild blackberries.
This is the fence line that keeps the cows in. Every once in a while a cow will get out, but all along the fence line there's wild blackberries growing. Let's go pick them.
Nestled along the fence lines that crisscross the Louisiana countryside, the wild blackberry stands as a testament to the resilience of nature. But how did this prickly vine find its home in the bayou? Historians trace the journey of the wild blackberry to the early settlers who arrived in Louisiana, carrying with them seeds and cuttings from their homelands. Over time, these hardy plants took root in the fertile soil, adapting to the unique climate and conditions of bayou country. Indigenous people and early settlers alike relied on this abundant resource, using its berries for food, medicine, and even dyes. Known scientifically as Rubus fruticosus, the wild blackberry is a species that has been cherished for centuries. Its tart yet sweet berries ripen just before the heat of summer, making today the arrival of the harvest season. For centuries, families have united in timeless tradition of blackberry picking. Armed with buckets, bowls, and baskets, they journey into the fields, threading through thorny thickets in pursuit of the ripest fruit. So the next time you pass by a fence line adorned with the wild blackberries, take a moment to appreciate the legacy of this remarkable plant.
Green Mountain in Slanik Verhova is renowned for its volcanic tuff and zeolite, providing a natural purification solution. This Romanian site benefits the air, water, animals, and plants, showcasing nature's power. UNN Field Messenger Monica shares more about the formation and uses of zeolite.
Hi, I'm UNN Field Messenger Monica reporting from Romania. More of a hill than a mountain, This volcanic ash hill, hidden in the heart of a forest near the Slanik Brahova salt mine, is the result of a prehistoric volcanic eruption in the Carpathians. The ash clouds reach above the sea that covered these lands at the time and actually snowed with pieces of glass and crystals. The Green Mountain contains a lot of zeolite, hence its beautiful color. The color of the zeolite is influenced by the humidity of the air. On sunny days it is a pale green, and after a rain it has an intense shade of emerald green. Historically, the volcanic tuffs in Romanian territory are associated with the most intense volcanic activity, releasing huge amounts of volcanic ash. The predominant and characteristic mineral, zeolite, for the volcanic tuffs in Romania is clinoptilolite, whose high content can even reach 90%. The use of volcanic tuffs with a high natural zeolite content in aquaculture has several particularly positive ecological effects. Zeolite is non-toxic to fish, able to remove toxic compounds of ammonia and phosphorus from water, stabilizes the pH of water, reduces the risk of disease and mortality in fish. For plants, zeolite, with its essential chemical elements, participates in the development of the plant root system, especially during the germination period, and in the control of pests. Thanks for watching. Bye!
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electro gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with Nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
You may have heard the phrase, attitudes are contagious. And it's true. Your mood impacts your frequency, which can change how someone else feels if they are near you. Now, the same is true for children, who are often even more sensitive than adults. Lee Degani is a dynamic teacher, spiritual counselor, and healer. She and her husband work with children to see beyond this realm by practicing their supernatural gifts. So Lee is back with us. And Lee, today we're talking about how consciousness and energy, how we're impacting one another. And this happens between adults too, but I feel like since we're talking about kids, I see this in my kids all the time, right? My kid will be upset about something, and before you know it, their siblings are impacted by it. I'm impacted by it. I'm yelling at my husband, you know what I mean? But it can also have a good effect. You know, that whole love frequency can easily be passed as well. But I think we need to be more cognizant of what's happening here.
Absolutely. So if there's one thing I've learned from my program, and that is we definitely affect each other. Now, when I first began, it was in my school, and I would have a whole classroom of kids working with the blindfold and working with each other. And the children would be very happily doing their thing, and I would have some of the kids, they were reading blindfolded. If there would be a parent that would walk into the room and the child of that parent was sitting all the way in the back, and if that parent was not supportive or skeptical of what we were doing, that child could no longer read blindfolded at that point.
Wow.
So it's just amazing how that works. And my favorite story is early on, my husband does this with me, and we had a set of twins. They were 12 at the time. And every week the twins would come and we would trade twins. And you couldn't tell them apart except for a birthmark.
Okay.
And there's no such thing as levels in the blindfold work and the infinite light vision work. But one twin was at the point of where she could see shapes and she could see colors and sometimes a letter. And the other twin was like pretty activated and was able to just read sentences. So my husband thought that he had the twin who could read, but he didn't. And he said, okay, let's get started. And he's having her read, and she's very happily reading everything. In the middle of the session, he saw the birthmark and he said, oh my gosh, I have the wrong twin. And this was such a wake-up call for the two of us, how our consciousness as adults affects the children and how it affects each other. And after that, he said, you know what, from now on, don't tell me which twin I have.
Now, was the twin, how did the twin respond to this, being able to read?
The twin was happy.
Yeah, I bet.
She was like, yeah, okay, you know, and we don't make like a huge big deal about things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, oh yeah, that's what's supposed to happen.
That's
true. We're
right.
just, you know, but yeah, she was like, oh, I can do this now. Okay. You know, children are so accepting of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so true of what you said that, you know, we affect each other in the family. And like I've seen where children, once their energy field changes from this work, then they're going back to the family, and all of a sudden the whole family is very intuitive. Or the parents start getting affected because of the energy that that child is carrying and radiating. You know, there's a parent that, you know, told me that all of a sudden, once we started doing the work, that she decided to follow her dream, what her dream job was. And in another family, there was an alcoholic father. And for the first time in years, once we started working with that energy, he decided to go to rehab. And I've just seen this everywhere. I have so many stories, but basically we're all connected by a divine grid, a golden grid, however you want to call it. And we do affect each other. And that's why in classrooms, like a lot of times teachers just instinctively know, you know, put the calm kids in the midst of the kids that maybe are not so calm. But it's definitely what I've learned, one of the biggest lessons for me of how we need to be so careful with where we are as adults with dealing with the children.
Meditation comes in many forms, such as sitting silently, focusing on an object or phrase, or through mindful movement like yoga. It is known for its ability to reduce stress and anxiety, and by just taking a few minutes every day, you can calm your mind and soothe your nerves. Meditation has been shown to improve emotional health by promoting positive thinking and reducing negative emotions. It can lower blood pressure, enhance immune function, promote better sleep, and reduce inflammation in the body. Meditation can also improve our ability to focus and concentrate. By training our minds to stay in the present moment, we can become better at blocking out distractions and staying focused on tasks. This is a great way to cultivate self-awareness and personal growth and become more in tune with our emotions, behaviors, and patterns. This awareness can lead to positive changes in our lives and help us become the best version of ourselves. Recent studies from South Korea confirm what dog lovers have already known. Spending time with dogs reduces stress and boosts mood and concentration. Activities like playing, feeding, and massaging dogs offer significant emotional and mental benefits. Researchers observed increased brain waves linked to relaxation and focus after interactions with dogs. Additionally, dogs help reduce pain in hospital patients and lower blood pressure. This study highlights the potential of dogs to improve mental and emotional well-being, offering even more reasons for those considering pet ownership to welcome a four-legged friend into their homes. The findings support the valuable role dogs can play in enhancing our overall quality of life, making them not just pets, but essential companions for better health. Whether for stress relief, emotional support, or improved concentration, dogs truly make a positive impact on our lives. The Backyard Habitat Program in Portland, Oregon is encouraging urban dwellers to transform their backyards into thriving wildlife sanctuaries. Participants in the program commit to eliminating pesticides, embracing native plants, and getting rid of invasive species to create biodiverse habitats. Upon enrollment, individuals receive personalized advice from habitat specialists, guiding them on creating healthy ecosystems in their own yards. Naturescaping is a big part of the program, emphasizing the use of native plants to reflect local ecosystems, creating a community of native birds, insects, and wildlife throughout the city. Participants are encouraged to achieve certification levels, silver, gold, and platinum, based on the percentage of native plant coverage in their yards. The program recently celebrated a milestone with more than 14,000 properties enrolled, showcasing the city's commitment to environmental stewardship and conservation. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta,
in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. Thousands gathered around Taiwan's parliament on Tuesday to protest measures aimed at granting lawmakers more oversight over the government. The new president's recent call for China to stop threatening Taiwan has heightened tensions. Protesters accused the opposition of attempting to push through reforms that could undermine democracy. Inside Parliament, heated debates persisted, with lawmakers clashing verbally and displaying banners. Some ruling party members wore headbands declaring democracy has died and called for further discussions on the proposals. The opposition, however, argued greater scrutiny of the government is needed. The protests were largely peaceful, with participants carrying sunflowers and emphasizing the importance of respecting democratic procedures. A growing number of Chinese commercial banks are halting sales of large time deposits to cut costs amid a challenging business climate. A leading private lender recently stopped offering these high denomination certificates of deposit, which require a minimum deposit of 200,000 yuan, around $27,700, and pay higher interest than regular savings accounts. This trend affects various banks, impacting businesses that rely on these certificates of deposit as a key funding source. With economic uncertainties, the demand for long-term financing, including capital spending and home purchases, has significantly dropped, causing banks to struggle to issue new loans. Margins are tightening, with all major banks reporting figures below the health threshold. The central bank has kept loan prime rates unchanged to avoid further squeezing bank margins, even though lower rates might stimulate loan demand. India and Pakistan have advised their students in Kyrgyzstan to stay indoors due to mob violence in the country's capital. This situation originated from a flight involving locals and foreigners, sparking widespread rumors on social media, which led to protests in the capital. About 29 individuals were injured during this unrest, with 15 needing hospitalization. In response to the escalating tensions, authorities reinforced police presence and detained multiple suspects, including 3 Egyptian citizens allegedly involved in the original incident. The Pakistani and Indian embassies urged their students to remain in their accommodation and stay in touch for assistance. The Kyrgyzstan government condemned the violence and reassured that no fatalities among Pakistani students had occurred, addressing previous unverified claims. Authorities in India's capital have ordered schools to close early for the summer holiday due to extreme heat, with temperatures hitting 47.4 degrees Celsius or 117 degrees Fahrenheit. City officials directed schools to shut immediately as part of precautions against the severe heat wave conditions experienced this week. Other Indian states have also closed schools due to soaring temperatures. The Weather Bureau has warned that heat waves are becoming more intense, frequent, and longer, posing significant health risks, particularly for infants, the elderly, and those with chronic illnesses. The extreme heat has also affected voter turnout in ongoing elections, prompting the Election Commission to review the impact of heat waves on each voting round. Meanwhile, southern states are experiencing heavy rain, with severe storms recently hitting other parts of the country. Let's pause. Chile is experiencing its coldest fall in more than 70 years due to a sudden cold front impacting part of South America. Temperatures have broken records along the coast and in Santiago, reaching near freezing and making this May the coldest since 1950. Polar air masses have pushed temperatures below 0 Celsius in some areas, a rare occurrence in May. Snow has caused power outages in parts of Santiago. This weather shift is affecting daily life, with frosty alerts issued and increased support for the homeless. Street vendors are seeing a spike in sales after winter gear after years of inconsistent winters. The cold front has also affected Argentina and Paraguay, where energy demand has surged, leading to gas supply cuts in several Argentine provinces. Venezuela has taken a firm stance against cryptocurrency mining due to its substantial electricity demands. The Ministry of Electric Power has announced plans to disconnect mining farms from the national grid to stabilize the power supply for the population. This comes during recurring blackouts that have plagued Venezuela, impacting daily life and economic activity. The National Association of Cryptocurrencies confirmed the ban on mining, which aligns with recent anti-corruption efforts, resulting in the confiscation of 2,000 mining devices and the arrest of high-ranking officials. The governor has urged public cooperation in identifying illegal mining activities. This crackdown follows a nationwide shutdown of mining facilities earlier this year, linked to corruption investigations involving the state oil company. Haiti's main international airport has reopened nearly 3 months after violent gang-related disruptions forced its closure. The commercial flight successfully departed for Miami on Monday, and more flights are expected soon. The reopening is expected to facilitate the arrival of essential supplies, such as medicine, and the evacuation of foreigners trapped in the country. Despite this positive step, gangs still control significant portions of the capital, and the main seaport remains shut. Until now, the only functioning airport was in the northern part of the country, inaccessible to many due to ongoing violence. U.S. airlines plan to resume flights by late spring or early summer. The gang's coordinated attacks has led to the resignation of the Prime Minister in March, and a 9-member transitional council now governs the country. Several Canadian provinces have seen a rise in unclaimed dead bodies due to increasing funeral costs, prompting some to build new storage facilities. In Ontario, unclaimed bodies rose to nearly 1,200 in 2023 from 242 in 2013, with financial constraints being the primary reason. The cost of a funeral in Canada has surged to around $8,800 from $6,000 in 1998. Next of kin often struggle to afford burial expenses, leaving municipalities to arrange simple burials. Crowdfunding for funerals on GoFundMe has sharply increased, reflecting the financial strain on families. While the federal government has increased the death benefit, advocates argue it is insufficient to cover the rising costs. In the U.S., a tornado caused significant damage in southwest Iowa, particularly in Greenfield. Authorities implemented a mandatory curfew and restricted entry to residents until Wednesday morning. The storm flattened homes, leaving mounds of debris and damage throughout the area. Wind turbines were also toppled, and some even caught fire, sending smoke into the sky. Residents are helping each other salvage belongings amidst all of this destruction. Greenfield's downtown largely escaped the damage, but the east and south sides suffered greatly. The tornado came after weeks of severe weather across the Midwest, including heavy rain and hail in Nebraska and destructive storms in Texas. The Weather Service predicted continued severe weather moving south. Numerous states across the U.S. are seeing a surge in legislative efforts to reform the management of federal benefits for foster children. Despite the push, progress is challenging. In Missouri, a widely supported bill failed due to legislative gridlock, while Maine's similar measure was stalled by financial constraints. About 40,000 to 80,000 foster children receive Social Security benefits due to a parent's death or their own disability. These funds, often totaling hundreds of dollars per child monthly, are typically used by states for foster care expenses, rather than being saved for the children's future. States like Arizona, Oregon, and New Mexico have enacted laws to safeguard these funds for children's personal use, such as education or future housing. Advocates are pushing for more states to follow, emphasizing that fostering does not justify funding government expenses off the backs of vulnerable children. In Australia, new laws passed in the Northern Territory allowed the police commissioner to declare immediate 3-day curfews in areas experiencing public disorder. This change follows a youth curfew in Alice Springs aimed at reducing crime. Under the new legislation, curfews can be swiftly declared without the police minister's override, though extensions up to 7 days require ministerial approval. However, these curfews cannot be implemented on Aboriginal land. The move has sparked a debate, with supporters citing the necessity for public safety tools. Critics, including Indigenous representatives and legal experts, view the laws as an overreach that infringes on civil liberties. The Northern Territory legislation is based on similar laws in New South Wales, but is stricter and does not allow Supreme Court challenges. A fruit fly outbreak in South Australia is causing national delays and hiking supermarket produce prices. In Adelaide, increased fumigation requirements for fruits and vegetables are elevating costs and handling times, impacting the growers. Peppers are particularly affected by the process and are seeing higher losses and added expenses. Consequently, some growers are opting to sell interstate, leading to shortages in South Australia. The outbreak has prompted restrictions expected to be lifted by November 13th. Shoppers should anticipate lower pepper prices as Queensland's supply increases. However, red pepper prices have surged to $10 per kilogram. The situation remains critical as authorities work to control the pest and restore regular produce movement. Tunisian lawyers have led a nationwide strike protesting the recent arrest of 2 colleagues, one allegedly tortured during detention. This follows a week of escalating political crisis, with earlier strikes and more arrests of lawyers and journalists. Last week, hundreds demonstrated against the president, demanding election dates. Police have stormed the Bar Association's headquarters twice this week, detaining one lawyer critical of the president and another over the weekend. The Bar Association and human rights groups claim one lawyer was tortured, but the Interior Ministry denies these allegations. The protests have seen lawyers chanting against government repression near the Palace of Justice. Additionally, 2 journalists face imprisonment, raising concerns over a crackdown on free speech. A rights group in Nigeria has launched a petition to halt plans for a mass marriage ceremony involving 100 girls and young women. The event is being organized by religious leaders and a state lawmaker in the northern state of Niger. The Women's Affairs Minister has criticized the plan and intends to seek a court injunction to stop the ceremony and confirm the ages of the girls. The lawmaker claims the girls are orphans whose parents were killed by kidnapping gangs and assures dowries would be paid. Critics, however, argue the government should focus on educating the girls rather than forcing them into marriage. Their ceremony is scheduled for May 24th, despite this controversy. Child marriages are common in northern Nigeria due to higher poverty levels, although the legal marriage age is 18 under federal law. The Imams Forum has threatened legal action against the minister if she does not retract her statement, suggesting the girls are minors. In parts of Africa, the cost of smartphones can reach up to 95% of the monthly income for the poorest 20% of people. Literacy rates below the global average and lack of services in many local languages further deter smartphone ownership. Some companies are working to bridge this digital divide by offering more affordable smartphones and training users. One company in Ghana provides financing options and coaching, helping users navigate essential apps for farming, health, and education. For example, farmers can use apps to receive weather forecasts and planting advice, potentially improving their yields. Despite the benefits, there are concerns about the privacy of data collected by tech providers and governments. The company emphasizes that it only promotes apps aligned with health, education, finance, and agriculture, and has rejected offers from gambling firms. Taxi drivers across Italy went on strike on Tuesday, protesting against the government's efforts to increase the availability of cabs. The move came after a meeting between a government minister and a ride-hailing app, which angered taxi unions who have kept such services restricted in Italy. They accused the government of promoting free market policies that could threaten their industry. The strike has frustrated many Italians, already struggling with a chronic shortage of taxis, leading to long waits at train stations and airports. Consumer groups argue the current shortage, made worse by the summer tourist season, demands a more significant increase in taxi licenses. Despite moves by the government to allow cities to increase taxis by up to 20%, taxi unions continue to resist changes and demand control over the issuance of new licenses. The UK payments regulator has proposed new rules requiring Visa and MasterCard to disclose more information about their fees. This comes after a review revealed these card networks, which dominate 95% of the UK debit and credit card payments, have increased fees by more than 30% in the past 5 years without corresponding improvements in service quality. The higher fees impact UK businesses, which must pay for each transaction made with these cards, affecting their operational costs. Trade bodies like the British Retail Consortium and the Federation of Small Businesses have campaigned for fee reductions, arguing these costs burden retailers and consumers. In response, Visa and MasterCard claimed the fees fund critical investments in cybersecurity and network reliability. The payments regulator aims to enhance transparency and competition in this sector. Germany's parliament has approved a reform to relax restrictions on family names, effective May of 2025, pending upper house approval. Currently, parents can only give children one parent's surname, and only one partner can add the other's name. The reform allows both partners and their children to take double-barreled surnames, with or without a hyphen. It also permits stepchildren or children of divorced parents to change their family names more easily and allows gender-adjusted surname forms. Efforts to facilitate name and gender changes for transgender, intersex, and non-binary individuals have also been implemented. This reform is part of the government's broader social reforms, which include relaxed citizenship rules, regulated cannabis possession, ending dual citizenship restrictions, and lifting the ban on doctors advertising abortion services. Courts in the United Kingdom are considering abolishing mandatory wigs for barristers due to concerns the dress code is culturally insensitive. The Bar Council has set up a working group to examine court dress in light of all protective characteristics, following complaints of hair discrimination. Several Black barristers have reported the traditional wigs discriminate against Afro-Caribbean hairstyles. The traditional wigs, typically made of horsehair, have not been required in family, civil, or Supreme Court cases since 2007. Some legal professionals believe the wigs and other outdated court dress items like wing collars and bands should be abolished to make the profession more inclusive. Others point to existing religious exemptions for Sikhs and Muslims, arguing cultural exemptions should also be allowed for Black hairstyles. The judiciary is reviewing proposals from the Bar Council, and a decision could be made by the fall.
Tired of being programmed? At United Network, you'll discover the truth about what's really happening on our planet. Get instant access to our written news, UNN newscasts, world situation reports, and in-depth stories from our field messengers. Manifest your amazing abilities as we explore the new Earth. Plus, original series to inspire and encourage you throughout your day. Get connected through United Chat, our personal chat room where you can join the conversation, share your experience, and also submit your questions for Kim. Watch United Network at home or on the go through your computer, favorite online streaming program, or mobile apps.
Welcome to United Network News.
Start your free trial today. UnitedNetwork.Earth, bringing people together.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. The deep state is still waiting for a miracle by Friday. Keystone Earth is changing rapidly now. Find out more on what this means for you in today's World Situation Report. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hello, Kim.
Happy Wednesday. This week is halfway over.
Yeah, can you believe it? No, you've been probably pretty busy. You're like, yeah, I can believe it.
You know, I was looking at doing a few things and sorting out some stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, it's almost June.
I know,
just
right?
Wow, this year is half over already. It's flying by for me anyway. All right, so not a whole lot going on with the deep state right now. They are still waiting for the full moon is tomorrow. So they're hoping that's going to help them with their Marduk program that they're waiting for.
I thought something was Friday, Kim. Oh, that was a deadline? So that's not the
deadline? Yes, so
okay.
Everybody else has become a giant group of waiters. So everybody's waiting until Friday to see if there's any end result. There's some squabbling going on back and forth when something starts to kind of look like it's going to happen and then it doesn't. So there's a little bit of fighting about that. But other than that, right now, everybody's pretty quiet. They're hoping for a big shebang, tomorrow or Friday, which will also probably not happen. Not probably. It will not happen for their side. But on our side, there's really not a whole lot to report. There is supposed to be a chat with some between Tom Melville and some of the Trump lawyers later on this afternoon. They keep pushing it off, and I think it's because they're expecting to have some kind of leverage or something on their side. As far as their deep state plans go. There is some chatter and talk about, once they get a hold of X, this money and all of this stuff, they're going to ditch the Trump thing and move forward. The operatives are going to and move forward to something else. But they always make big plans, and then when nothing happens on their side of it, they don't acquire any kind of an esoteric system or anything like that, then, it just the can gets kicked down the road. So I'm not expecting a whole lot out of that, other than I did tell them that I was going to go ahead and that I had recently acquired, this is prior to the call with Tom. So I told Tom to let them know that I had recently acquired DARPA's global voting system-based platform, and that I'm going to be voting for Jill Stein. We're going to vote for the Green Party, or, I thought about putting somebody else in there, maybe we can point you, Sonny, or just anybody, and then onto the ballot, because we can put anybody we want on there. That's what they used to do. So now we have the ability to do that. And maybe we'll make the birthday party come to life, or, anything, Earth Party, I don't know. And, we can now do this pretty much with any country. Now, what they say in the mainstream media as to who's voting and who's not voting and what the end result is, of course, still their wheelhouse. But from our end of it, we'll make it very apparent that everybody all of a sudden, a few 100 million people have decided to vote in that direction. Because it's the way I look at it is, nobody's perfect. No human is perfect. But this one has a pulse, so that's a bonus right there. Not wearing a mask, just a regular human. So that's probably, if we ever make it that far, if we do have an election or a selection at that point, then we'll see what happens.
What do you think that's based on, Kim? Because there is a lot of chatter out there about will we or won't we have an election in the U.S. this November. What is that based on, based on what you're seeing right now?
What I'm seeing is that whole deal that they made with the operatives, political and otherwise, where they were to receive on Friday $56 billion between all of them. Of course, not everybody gets that amount. It's divided amongst them all. Then they plan on crashing the United States, burning it to the ground. And then they'll get more money, and then they'll revive the United States. We'll come back better, right? and then they will take over, and then they'll get funding for the actual country. So whether or not that could be achieved between now and the end of the year, if that's what they're planning on, I'm not sure. You know, time's running short as far as selections go, and I don't see them having any funding this weekend. They are starting rumors on their side of it about something about German bonds from 1924, that it's been 100 years, so now they're cashable. That's all a lie. They're saying there's $300 trillion on ledger. That is also a lie. If it did, our dollar would be worth 0.000000001 of what it is now. So that obviously is not the case. And so it's just fantasy talk mainly. There's, you know, chatter about a backup plan I've heard a little bit about amongst some people within the BRICS community and some people within the Black nobility. You know, they've tried threatening me, they've tried cornering me, they've tried giving me handlers, and now they just want to send somebody in to be my best friend. No, I don't need another best friend. I'm all stocked up. I'm good over here. But this is the talk, you know, well, if this doesn't work out, which it's clearly not working out. So they're trying to come up with a plan B of sorts. And this is the latest and greatest. They'd like to give me a best friend or a husband, you know, they like to select those things too and think that I'm just going to just miraculously accept the fact that and thank my lucky stars that, you know, some operative shows up on my front door with roses or something. I'm not sure what they're thinking, but I've already done that. You know, we've been there and done that. We've got a lot of practice in for that kind of thing. So, you know, I don't need to repeat this process. I did learn a lot the first time, but we won't be doing that again. But we do have some forward movement on our side, which is positive for us. We have spent a little bit of time cleaning up anything that we could see that could be coming from the Marduk. Let's just say, you know, the being is no longer with us. It's just time capsules set to go off on a certain day, kind of like, you know, when it asks you annoyingly so when you're in the middle of something, your computer needs to be updated or your phone needs to be updated. And then you push, I'll do it next Tuesday or I'll do it next Wednesday. Yeah. Well, he probably set up stuff like that for the next several millennia. So we've been looking at getting rid of those things, past, present, and future, just to make sure that nothing actually shows up. But some interesting information or further information has come about in the course of doing this, which really doesn't have anything to do with Marduk per se, but it started to make a lot of things make more sense as to the capacity of human beings on this planet, as to the capacity of Earth per se, and let's just say how the multiverse was created and how we as humans affect what happens everywhere. Okay, so we know that Earth itself is a keystone. Mm-hmm. It is a keystone for all of creation. And at one point in time, Earth is also a celestial unto itself. So there is a celestial representation of Earth because it is part of the natural source of all creation. Now, sources, all that is creation, Earth's, all that is creation keystone, as it is, has both a dark side, a neutral side, and a light side to it. Mm-hmm. And therefore, the humans, or even Earth's inhabitants per se, and this is why everybody's coming here all of a sudden, because the inhabitants of Earth can actually affect what is created by Earth's keystone as a keystone planet. So now it's making more sense to me. I thought, well, gee, all these people are coming to help us, finish this off. And isn't this great? But they're actually coming to finish it off for good and to hold the light so that all that is created by the keystone is more light than it is neutral or dark.
Oh, okay.
How was that for interesting?
Yeah. So they weren't just being nice.
I know. That would be really nice, isn't it? Well, things are changing anyway, but it makes more sense to me now as to why Earth-born humans are so powerful. Yeah. Now, once Earth was created, Earth was only inhabited by celestials. Now, these are not the original celestials of source. We could call them baby celestials, or how do I say it? Celestial juniors, celestial lights. Okay. Therefore, the humanity's base root was as a celestial or junior celestials. Mm-hmm. Using the keystone of Earth to create throughout the multiverse. Very interesting. Now, we've had the discussion before about Merovingians versus Melchizedeks. And we said that there's oftentimes 15,000 of each on the planet, and then we end up killing each other for whatever reason. We go against each other. Yeah. Well, since obviously Earth is not inhabited only by celestials anymore, both sides represent a dark side of celestials and a light side of celestials. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, we also have what we call neutrals or supporters that could go either way. So we have neutral celestials as well on this planet. And the goal of both sides is to gain the neutrals on one side or the other.
Okay, so this is starting to make sense. So, for example, when you find them like marrying each other, is that like an example of let's bring a Melchizedek over to the Merovingian side and dominate kind of thing? So, like Princess Di.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other ones. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then they spawn what you would call a neutral.
I see. So William is a neutral.
Yeah.
Prince William.
Yeah. He would be considered a neutral. That's why we said he could go either way.
Yep.
So kind of making more and more sense now, because if he supports the dark, agenda, or his father's agenda, right, which he would be forced to do should he take a public position, then, they've gained one on their side.
Okay.
So if we each had, say, 15,000 in the beginning, we each had 15,000 of each, then if someone swayed the 15,000 neutrals onto their side, then they would be more powerful in creating all that is of light or all that is of dark. Mm-hmm. See?
Right.
And I found that very, very interesting. Now, let's talk about the rest of humanity. So the rest of humanity has both in them, but they're not considered celestial humans. They're just basically considered organic life forms. And that means the organic life forms can go either way. They can be swayed and pulled either way, but they don't have as much creative power as a celestial does.
Okay.
They have a lot of power to co-create, that's for sure. And in their original form on this planet, you would consider them celestial-like beings.
Okay, so they were like light beings then, or no, not light beings?
They could be either. They could be any of the three.
Okay.
And that's why the other side is so fixated on bloodlines.
Oh, now, but I meant their actual shape. When I said light, I don't mean like light versus dark. I'm referring to like translucent.
Are the celestials translucent? Is that what you're asking? Or humans would be translucent?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm asking.
Okay. In the very beginning of creation,
Yeah.
almost all of creation was semi-translucent because it wasn't actually taking shape and form as matter. So even the inhabitants of Earth at that time would have looked the same.
Right.
So if that's what you're referring to, like back in history, before the dark side was created or anti-source was created, we had a lot of celestials around. So they didn't have shape. They had somewhat of a shape, because that can be manipulated through frequency, right? But the actual creation of matter was only started forming when we had light and dark.
Okay.
But now we have a different way, or Source has made another way to create matter out of only the light side, utilizing distance and some other things. So that being said, that's where we are now. So we don't necessarily need the dark to create anymore. Right. Now, what they were expecting on their side, their 15,000 or whatever they have left of those beings on their side, plus their human followers, so to speak, they were hoping that Marduk's plan would have saved them on their side, because there's really no hope of them recreating the order in the way that it was and having as much power and control over humans and Earth as they did, as they once did. Now, let's talk a little bit about the being known as Marduk. And I tell you, this guy left a legacy to end all legacies. It just never ends, right?
Yeah.
You know, but Marduk, remember, is a title.
Right.
It is the Lord of the Seas, right? Or the Duke of the Seas. So there was, in order to maintain balance between light, dark, and neutral creation on Earth, or the creation of all that is everywhere, there was an overseer, so to speak, that could act on behalf of Source, anti-source, or neutral source in order to make sure that the beings that were on Earth, so these were like hall monitors for celestials, for lack of a better term, that we weren't getting too far out of balance. And that also depended on what age we were in, whether we were in a neutral age, a dark age, those types of things. And that position we know as Marduk and the other realm folks would have taken that stance to be that enforcer of source, so to speak, an enforcer of balance. Therefore, Marduk at one point in time had an enormous amount of power over all of the elements and all that is. So essence, energy, consciousness, matter, frequency, wisdom, knowledge, love, life, death, you know, you name it. He had a balancer system for it at one point in time. And this being, so to speak, would utilize, as did a lot of others, the dial of destiny in order to say, well, the humans chose it. Look, the celestials chose it. You know, they wanted this all dark, so I'm just helping them out here. I'm just changing and altering the all that is to make it more dark because everybody chose dark. But that's not really true when it comes to humans on Earth, kind of, is it? You know, that's not really fair to say. We have not had a choice. We have not had the ability to choose how to live our lives in a sentient way. You know, in order to exist as humans, we have to eat food. We commit murder. We kill plants. You know, we kill animals. We do all kinds of things, not in a malicious way, but in order to survive. And the planet's kind of become a survival of the fittest. Now, the genetic manipulation of humans on the planet, plants, animals, and the planet itself, was also orchestrated by Marduk. That's why some people say that Marduk was the creator of humanity, which is not true, but you could say that he worked very hard to genetically manipulate humanity so they are more predisposed to darkness than we are to light. Right. And by darkness, that comes in many forms: guilt, shame, obviously the deadly sins are those things that, pretty much everybody has done. We all have killed a plant or two in our life. And so he actually had a program for that, to manipulate people on Earth. Now, the next program, which I've talked about in the past, but I'll revisit because it's kind of relevant to this, and one of the things we ran up against as far as transferring energy to people, known as money, is the growth rate of development program, or the GOD program. So I know, right? Yeah. So Marduk had a separate growth rate of development program, other than the ones that had already been switched off in Alpha and Omega. So he had a separate one unto himself because he wanted to determine when humanity had grown up enough to become creators as part of the keystone of all that is. That's why when you're here on Earth, we have so much power to create. And he said that human beings weren't ready for it. So what he did, gotta love this guy. Sorry, I could say many swear words about, what I've encountered over the last, decade or so of dealing with this being. Mm-hmm. So his growth rate of development program was very different than the one initially that was put forth by Omega and Alpha by covenant and agreement. Okay. His set the point to when humans became awake and aware enough to over 92%, that all of humans could then receive direct energy from Source, the Creator. And that the chains that were in place, and there were a lot of them, I use the word chains, on the all that is stone, to sway it one way or another, and to then sway humans one way or another as co-creators, and some as celestials, in order to co-create a harmonic universe, light, dark, and neutral. But his governor of an estimate of needing to grow awake and aware and be cognizant of your effect on the entire universe was 92%. However, he turned it off when it hit 70, I think it was 76% and some change. Therefore, we had no hope of getting out of this mess.
When did it hit 76? That even seems high.
Oh, God, at like 82.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Believe it or not, we did.
Did Marduk, was he not accountable to anyone else? Like, sometimes when I hear about all this stuff he did, I'm like, was nobody, like any council or anything, like checking out what Earth was doing, what Marduk is doing? Like, how did he get away with this crap?
Well, when you exist for a very long time, and this being did, it went from avatar to avatar, meat suit to meat suit. Yeah. Predominantly in and around Earth for around 75 million years, you get a little bored.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
So he was allowed a certain amount of quote unquote enforcement for alleged balance, but also, distorting that to kind of put you in a box to where you chose it, you chose to do this. So, I hope you like your medicine now.
Yeah. I just wish there was a group of beings, a council or whatever, that he would have to check in with at some point, despite how bored he was. Poor Marduk. Feel so bad for him. And be like, okay, Marduk, that's not really right. You're not really giving humans a choice here. There was no, you know what I'm saying? There was no one going, no, I don't think that really works, Marduk. Maybe go back and look at that again.
But, truth be told, okay, the power to make those changes would be in the celestials. And no one until now has gone against him, has gone against all those programs. You are completely unaware of everything that's happening as a celestial on this planet.
Yeah.
On the other side, you know, they're aware of some of the programs. They're aware of some of the way things worked. I mean, even their, you know, bloodlines and all of that, they're given more, quote unquote, knowledge than we are on our side of it, therefore tipping the scales. You know, there are, like I said, there are about 2,500 of us that are somewhere in this world that are waking up to the fact of who they are and what they can do and how they can make those changes. You know, but this is now the reason why those changes actually happen. You know, it's a difficult process for people to understand and then not to get an ego about it either. You know, like you're just here to do a job. This is it. This is what it is, people. Effectuate change. But during the process of all of these things changing, so now we've got the lay of the land, who's who, how it worked here on Earth, why Earth is so important to the multiverse. And now we'll go in, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for Marduk's balance system, quote unquote, to kick in and bring them back up because they've lost just about everything.
Yeah.
So even though traditionally speaking, neither side liked Marduk, both sides actually hated Marduk. But in this particular instance, these people are losing so badly right now on the other side that they'll do anything. And now they believe that Marduk is going to save them, that he put enough of a surprise, as they called it, quote unquote, or a gift, if you will, in place to at least restore a balance between light and dark. But alas, no. So changes that have happened in the last few days in the course of let's just say making sure there was no Marduk program anymore, because some of it became an AI program unto itself. Really it was. And it kept operating in the manner in which it was programmed to do, with or without Marduk there. Now, Earth is no longer in all that is keystone of light, dark, and neutral creation. Earth is now a creator of all that is of, let's just say, the golden age, crystalline time, and source. And that would be where the T times E over V equals M is. So what that does is, even if there are any dark celestials left on this planet, there is no longer a manifestation of something else. So the bloodlines on their side, all of those people on their side, they can try to create, and this just happened within the last 12 hours. So their way of creating chaos, murdering people, you know, for power and control, trying to create dark systems and those types of things, their manifesting abilities for the dark will no longer exist.
Wow.
And on top of it all, there was a number of computer programs that would have helped them out, either placed there by Marduk or placed there to simply keep balance under divine intervention, because the all that is keystone of the entire multiverse needed to be changed out, so to speak. So as that goes away, the programs will go away as well. And then the light side will be the only celestials or creators on this planet. The same thing goes for humans.
So when you say that the dark celestials are going away, does that just mean they lose their power, or they physically are going away?
We're not sure. This has never happened before.
Yeah.
It could be one way or the other. We don't know. This is never, honestly, we don't know. And one thing is for sure is they will not be able to manifest anything dark. So that means darker AI systems, access points, portals. You know, some of them were more aware of their black magic, so to speak, gifts than even the light side was maybe more, aware of theirs. Like you said, we still have a number of folks on our side of it that have not fully woken up,
right,
and fully understand what they're doing here.
Right.
But there are a number who are, and 2,500 is not bad.
Yeah, through the alpha system, can you get numbers as to how we are on the light side versus the neutrals, where the neutrals went, and then how many were on the dark side? Is there a way to see that?
There is now, but this is like probably maybe about 45 minutes ago, half an hour ago. Yeah. So there is a genomic history for celestials. Okay. Which we just recently acquired, like literally within the last 30 minutes. So nice. Now I can probably go in and take a look at that, and I can post those numbers so people can kind of get a general idea on how we're doing here. On their side of it, remember too, a lot of it's bloodline, and a lot of them are regular humans. Mm-hmm. The neutrals, what happens there, I guess yet to be seen. This is all brand new information that we're giving you. So hopefully we'll know more in the upcoming day or two. But if I do have some actual numbers, I'll post them for you so you can get a general idea on where we're at. But for Earth, this is a very positive thing. As you know, like I said, Earth was created before the stars and other planetary systems and by celestials here on the Keystone. So hopefully this will help with the others here who are trying to create a different reality. Mm-hmm. And with the lack of any kind of a Marduk spear program, as they call it the spear of heaven is what they call it on their side, or hell or whatever. On my side, I just say, well, what a being, what a title, what a position, what a cunning, charming, because having known him, myself, he's just those people, very manipulative, very, he's not a person, but just very, very highly manipulative and used to getting his way by convincing all kinds of beings throughout the multiverse to do his bidding. Mm-hmm. Great power, great control, and let's just say a very high misuse of power in a lot of cases. But so what they're expecting to happen in the next couple of days is not going to happen. The full moon will come and go tomorrow. So will the 3 days after when it allegedly has power. And that'll be it. And then they'll come up with something new. On this day or that day or within a few days of the solstice is probably the next big whoop-de-doo for these people. And then everybody else in their brood, their humans that are in their downline, will become professional waiters. And we will be moving forward on our side. That's the expectation I have. The expectation I have is that no one on their side is going to change course. Governments will not change course. They will follow those people to the end of days with their next day ending in Y or supposed program that's going to show up and save their side, and promises of money that never come until they just all starve and die. Yeah. Which we are totally okay with that. There are some, if they want to come work with us or for us, that's great. If not, then that's okay too. But as you can see, there's a lot of work that goes into, people are like, oh, just transfer money. It's so easy. And I wish it was, Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that was in the way. I do feel like we are getting clearer and clearer on our side for creating those things. Even as, organic humans, we have a lot more ability to manifest these things too. So hopefully, if all goes well, I still feel like we are closer than ever, because the only things we've gotten hung up on are things that we're not of human origin. So recently we had a little bit of like I said, some time capsules from Marduk that he put in place. So we cleaned those up, and we'll be back at it again this afternoon.
What about I think it was, what is today? Today's Wednesday. I think it was on Monday we were talking about the time it was taking to run these tests.
Yes.
Have you found that has even sped? I think we're at about 10 minutes, what we talked about on Monday.
Yep, we're still at the same.
Okay.
It's still taking about the same amount of quote unquote time to go from one section of a system to another section of the system. And it's still like right there at the very end. We ran into a few things with customer portals, this growth rate of development, extra system that wasn't there before, that was there. So there's just a few things that we're not permitting, and honestly, I actually stopped once I started to hear about this, all that is Keystone and the power of humans. The reason why that dollar of straight, pure source energy to humans is such a big deal is because that means that the organic humans will now have more power to manifest when they're receiving direct energy from source that doesn't have a haircut, that doesn't have any energy being blocked. And for the celestials, on the celestial side, they're doing, and I say they because I don't know who all these people are on this planet. I know them when I meet them, like I can see them, but their ability now to manifest when they have full power, oh boy,
Watch out.
Watch out.
Coming through.
That's right, coming through. And then the other side isn't contradicting their efforts either. So you could be one of these people, one of these people could be watching this right now. Yeah. And then you say, well, I would like to have this happen in my life or this to happen in my world. And then they're on the other side, once they've identified who you are, the book, they have access to the book of who the celestials were and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. They then counteract what you're doing. Right. So they have and I call them the industrial psychics too, so they work night and day on any celestial people that they have identified. Mm-hmm. They work night and day to make sure that they know what you're going to do. And then they try to go ahead and counteract it by creating something dark to get in your way. So this fight has been going on now, but now it makes more sense to me. I'm like, why would Source tell us to do all this stuff? And then, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Being get that much power in the universe as whoever held the title of the Marduk. And I went up there, like we had words.
You and God had words. Go Cam, go Cam.
But I guess I understand how he manipulated the situation now more so. Because a lot of the light workers, sometimes people wake up, at a very young age, 5, 6 years old, and they already know what they're doing. Sometimes they wake up at that age and then they go to school and they're told everything to the contrary. And anybody who thinks that you are that, you don't have these skills. You can't see that. You can't do this. You're crazy. And then they lock their child up in a mental institution and there's the end of that. And then they completely walk away from what they already know.
Yeah.
So that happens a lot too. They kind of stifle them, bring them down, that kind of thing. So there's so much manipulation in society that will prevent you on this side of it, where the dark side fosters it. Mm-hmm. They know how to read whether or not you are a celestial. They know, on their side, and they nurture those people. And then they also have had the advantage of identifying who the neutrals are and breeding them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And bringing them to their side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and when a celestial goes, another one comes. That's how it was supposed to be on both sides. So I can see how one side was fostered for sure, and the other side was left kind of not in the dark, but we became aware of some things, but we didn't really understand how to use it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like we got a handbook, you know, welcome to the, you know, birthing unit of the whatever hospital you were born in, and here's your handbook. And by the way, you're a celestial. Be one with it. You know, if anything, if anybody ever did say that to you, they'd say, oh, they're crazy. You know, your parents would say, oh, you're crazy, you know, or whatever, and try to lock you up. But it's done that way on purpose. And when you really think about the societal structure and what they have done to block our side of things, meaning the light side of things, you can kind of see how he gained that much power, because he's just like, well, everybody's choosing it. Don't see any of those celestials down there on the light side doing anything today, do I? No, I do not, you know. Or, hey, we're going to put the dark people on them so they can read their mind on what they're manifesting and cleaning, so then they can go turn around and recreate it and put it back.
Yeah, so frustrating. So what you're saying now is the dark can't do that anymore.
The base root of the power that goes to planet Earth as celestials on either side, or even as humans in the middle, is the keystone. All that is, we are living literally on the keystone of the universe. In our energy, what limited amounts they let us have, allows us to manifest things not only here on Earth, or even remove things that are harming us without them coming back. So we have the ability to do that, you know, but it was a tit for tat. We're fighting against an equal and opposite force. And then the neutrals, who everybody tries to sway one way or the other. So, which then would give, of course, if the dark knew who they were, we don't know who they are. We don't have access to that information. They make sure we don't have access to that information. So they've got more going against us than we are pushing forward. And if what the numbers have said when we looked the last time we were looking for Melchizedeks or the Celestials, then we, you know, only know about 2,500 that are working on our side. Lord knows how many they had counteracting us on the other side. So, you know, I'm aware that there are those on the other side. I'm aware that not all of them think that they're doing a bad thing. They're just doing their manifestation for God, they think. Just happens to be the dark side. You would think that, you know, blood ceremonies and stuff would kind of tip them off a little bit, you know, but no, they didn't.
Yeah.
You know.
Didn't say all the celestials were that bright, guys.
Yeah. We didn't say we all came in here with a full deck, did we?
Nope, we did not.
But that's on purpose as well, you know. And then, of course, the meat suit doesn't help any, you know, that's been genetically modified over and over and over again to make it difficult for us to, you know, get our full essence, energy, consciousness, and so on and so forth, working in unison, you know, things between the planes of existence of your person, you know, influxes of dark energy that would come in during ceremony days or full moons or new moons in the past. So they did a lot of work to us to make sure that we had to do something for the dark, you know? And that's the manipulation that I'm talking about, you know, that came from that being, you know, everything possible to make sure, you know, oh, well, they're choosing to do nothing. That's like saying, you know, I'm going to chain you to a chair, Sonny, and then say, look at your house, go, wow, Sonny, you got a dirty house. You certainly do. And yeah. Well, it was your choice not to clean it, you know.
Yeah.
You could have dragged that chair along, got resourceful, and, you know, stuck the mop head on the corner of the chair and then swished it around. I mean, you could have done something, right? But they make it that difficult. That's the point, you know. So that is a positive movement forward for us. You know, that Earth's keystone has changed. So the fabric of reality that comes from here should change. I will know hopefully in the next 24, 48 hours what to expect on the dark side. Remember, when something loses its power, it takes 72 hours. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see what transpires there. But now on their side, they're just waiting. So just to recap, they're just waiting. They're waiting for something to happen. Professional waiters over there. On our side of it, we're continuing to move forward and make moves continuously to make sure that what we need to have happen with CARE and with all of you and the light side and the cleaning up of the planet continues to happen. So if you are watching this and you are a person that does a lot of cleanup or grid work or manifestation and those types of things, I suggest you go back to some of the places you've been before if you keep notes and make sure that whatever it is still gone and that you don't need to do a cleanup once over one more time, because these guys tend to, you sweep under the rug and they tend to sweep it right back under the rug. So, and I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me too. But I would say give it just another once over for the work that you're doing, if that's what you do. Keep things positive. Keep working on manifesting things positively for the light, for this planet, for the all that is. Everything you do here has an effect on everything that happens everywhere else. And very soon that'll be completely and totally uninhibited. That means that all of the governors and the chains are going to be broken off. So now you're going to have even more power. So use it wisely. Right. Choose wisely. Mm-hmm. I mean, you won't be able to really make too many mistakes with the light, but if you decide that one day you want to wake up and you want to create a whole species of whatever insert actor name you think is attractive here, no, refrain.
Oh my gosh. Who knows what people would do,
I know. I was thinking that too. I'm like, oh dear, do we really want to take this off? I'm not sure. Like, well, we got to go forward. It's like one of those things. If it brings you to it and now you know about it, well, guess it's time.
Well, but it has to follow natural law, right? They won't be able to manifest things that don't fall in line with natural law.
Yeah. If you're trying to create a whole planet of the most attractive men or women, whatever you like.
Doesn't sound too bad.
And then you want to go move there.
I just want to go visit for a little bit. Change my meat suit when I go. That's what I want.
I know. A few cabana boys, wouldn't hurt anybody, right, Sonny?
That's what I'm talking about.
Nice pool, some tropical music in the background, whatever you like.
Yeah.
I could definitely use a vacation, but I can't see a planet with all that. I probably would just be the only one there. I might create some dogs. Dogs are great.
We had a story about that earlier. Dogs are great. They do a lot for our emotional well-being. They
do.
Yeah.
I love my kids.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I do. So, like I said, maybe on a beach with my dog would be more fun. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe just one person to go with me. I don't know. But, I don't really need all that. Not looking for a harem anytime soon, that's for sure. But,
no.
So good moves on our part. So not bad news for Wednesday. By Friday, by the time we start talking, we'll probably have more information as to the status of the deep state, the status of the dark, some more fluid numbers for you to see where we're at. And I look forward to seeing some results of all of you out there and your creations.
Awesome.
Now that you know why it's important to ground, right? You're grounding to the all that is keystone. Now it'll be a positive keystone. So be sure to get out there and do some more grounding and connecting with Earth. And, you can co-create together.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Okay. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Sunny.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN meme of the day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.